Merry meet guys, welcome back to Witch to the Moon. This is our season 8. I'm excited. I am your Wednesday host, Houston, for Witch to the Moon. Like I said, this is season 8, week 1. We are talking about iconic witches, and they can be, we all picked one or two beforehand. They can be witches. I don't think they would be Hollywood witches because we've already covered that in, I think, 2 seasons ago. These are more of witches that are iconic in the community. I have picked two. I'm going to talk a lot about one. Um, I'll talk a lot about both. My first one, I don't think a lot of people will like, but she has influenced my craft a lot. Just because she was one of the few authors that I connected with really deeply when I first started, and that is Silver Ravenwolf. I know a lot of people in the pagan community don't like Silver Ravenwolf, um, or they have really mixed feelings about her. I love her work. Um, a lot of the books I have of hers I really do enjoy. Um, I don't find any of them really difficult to get through, unlike some authors. Um, for instance, for me, DJ Conway's work is really dry, um, and her Celtic and Norse magic are very, I, I dare say, basic, but with Switch gods. They're kind of like the same book with Switch mythologies. It's like the same overview, or yeah, overview with different the names swapped out, if that makes any sense. And if it doesn't, it's late at night. I apologize. But before we get started on that, I do want to promise you guys that I am not just going to be shooting in my bedroom or shooting off my little laptop all season. I am working on getting my professional camera up and running. My partner's been getting on me about not using my camera that he bought me when I had to drop out of college. He got me that as a you didn't fail gift. Um, I had to drop out for financial reasons. Going to a private art school, it got really expensive, and I just couldn't afford it. So when he got, he saved up money and he bought me a brand new camera set. Um, so yeah, so I'll be using that. I'll be working with that and getting the video quality up, and I'll be working with that throughout the season. But without further ado, let's talk about some Silver Ravenwolf. Some of the first books I ever bought were from her. I apologize if you see me go tongue-in-cheek. Um, I just had a tooth pulled, so it is kind of hard to talk, but I want to get this video going. So the first couple books that I did buy on paganism were from Silver Ravenwolf because I found her information really attractive and attracting to younger audience. And when I started, I was in high school age. I was 16, 17. So a lot of her books, they do speak to a lot of her older books do speak to the younger mind, youthful or younger minded um, practitioners. That's why a lot of people don't really like her. And I do like her for those reasons. Just because it gives you a kind of a fresh start where a lot of the, where I see a lot of the other books, they're more adult focused, they're more of technical, where she is more, I guess, art and free flow magic. That's just my opinion. But like I said, one of the first series of books that I got from Silver Ravenwolf was her To Write a Silver Broomstick, To Stir a Magic Cauldron, and To Light a Sacred Flame. That's her trilogy series. Basically, To Write a Silver Broomstick is kind of like the introduction to paganism and what magic is and what paganism is and what it means to be a witch and what to expect and what not to expect and things like that. To Stir a Magic Cauldron is about conjuring, so it's about creating sacred space, um, conjuring strength, and creating magic circle, and creating up your sacred space and altar devotions and things like that. And then To Light a Sacred Flame is all about magic and simple magic to ritual candle magic and things like that. She also has a couple. She also has a book called Mind Light, which is a fantastic book if you are interested in guided meditations. there are some really long meditations. I suggest if you do get that book that you record yourself or have someone read it and record, and then you get in a meditative state and have your headphones in and play it back so you can go through it a little bit easier than reading and visualizing what you're doing. That'll be a lot easier to free flow that way. She also has books that I think came out. Yeah, they did. Came out before Christopher Penzak's series. Penzak wrote a series of books on protection, prosperity, and love. So did Silver Ravenwolf. I think she wrote them back in the early 1990s, or the late 1990s, or the early 2000s. I don't have the books on me. They're over there in my bookcase. I think it was like 97, 98. But I wasn't in Magic then. I just know that's when I bought them used. So I bought the older versions, not the newer versions. So she has a book on love magic, protection magic, and money magic. So 3 different spell books. She has a teen witch spell book, which I did get when I was in high school, and I was instantly attracted to that. I think one of the spells that I did, I've talked about it before. It was out of that book. It was the wolf protection spell, or the totem animal protection spell. That was out of that book. So for me, she has been completely. She helped me mold what I practice today. And there's the list of books goes on. If you know me from my personal channel, you know that I have a series called The Book Witch, where I do different book reviews on different books, tarot decks, cards, oracle decks, things like that. I don't really think I've talked about a Silver Raven. No, I have. I've talked about this one, American Folk Magic, which is awesome. Her practice of powwow and brucherie magic, or granny magic, is something I'm studying as well. Powwow is a Pennsylvania Dutch system of magic. It's kind of like the hoodoo, but it's more Germanic in nature than Catholic, and I think they were more Catholic based. I mean, they do powwow does go to have aspects where you can call on the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, but they don't really go much into the saints. They use the Psalms in magic. Sorry, my back started to hurt. They use the Psalms, and she also uses God and goddesses as well. She kind of mixes it up to make it a little easier for pagans to digest. She was also one of the Silver Raven was one of the first, when I first started, one of the first authors that introduced me that angels weren't from only Christian judo Christian background, or Judaic Christian background. You know, they weren't just boxed into Christianity. They were omniscient, or everywhere, and they were seen throughout all cultures. They may be different names, but all the archangels and angels, they respond to whoever asks for help. That's what really got me into studying more about angels too. She does have a new book out. It came out the beginning of this month, October 8th. And it's actually not centered for kids, for young adults. It's more of what she's been doing for the past 8 years, because I don't think she's written a book since 2010. It's 8 or 9 years. 2008 was her last book. I think that was like The Witch's Notebook, or The Witch's Herbal. I'm not sure. Those are 2 books that I don't have. It's this one, The Witching Hour by Silver Ravenwolf. Spells, powders, formulas, witchy techniques that work. I am only maybe a third of the way through, a little under a third of the way through. It's a fantastic book. It's got a lot of awesome information in it. She also, at one point in time, which I don't think she offers online anymore, she might not. She did have an Etsy store called the Crows and Crossroads, I believe. Um, I believe. Doesn't say anything about that on here. Um, no. Um, she did have one, but now she goes, you can go to whispermagic.com, and that's her website where she sells a lot of her homemade spell oils and powders. She used to do candles, or she do like astrological candles, things like that, and they're really good. They're really, you know, decently priced. I think you get an oil for $13. I think it's a 6 or 4 ounce oil for $13. Um, and that's not bad. I've seen a lot smaller for a lot more money. I mean, um, but when she had her Etsy store, there was this section that I'm all. If you know me either online or in person, you know that I'm a book magnet. This was. I love getting any kind of book I can get my hands on and any kind of knowledge, and especially stuff that you can't really find information on. So she had this class. She had these series of classes on brucherie or granny magic, and I could be saying that wrong. Apologize if I am. I'm not. I don't have any French in me by any means, but it's granny magic, and it's mostly whisper magic, and what you can do. And she's kind of blended powwow, and I don't know if she's created her own system or she was taught a new system. Um, but she did have 4 lessons or 4 um, workings on granny magic, brucherie, witchery, and I do have them in. I don't know if you can see that. You can't. Yeah, you can't really see them. So, but I have most of them, all of them in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over real quickly because I've been studying this. This was actually made in 2013, and I bought it 2 years ago, 2015. Yeah. So, Granny Magic or Brucherie Magic is a course in country magic as practiced in York, Cumberland, Adams, and Dauphin counties in southern central Pennsylvania. It is a blend of brucherie, powwow, that's it, in quotes, powwow, and rural enchantments. Enchantment practices both past and present reflective of the various personalities within those communities. The course focuses on active learning rather than passive reading. This Granny Magic course uses brucherie witchery as its foundation. Please understand that this course is indicative of how I work, and it is not only a way to practice Granny Magic. So, I find that really interesting that she is really not um, not an author that says my way is the right way, or if you do this, it's wrong. Um, I mean, with certain things that can be more dangerous, like spirit evocation or things like that, which I don't believe she's talked about. She's talked about invocation and evocation, but it's more of god and goddess than a spirit out of the Goetia or the Keys of Solomon or things like that. Um, I actually think she goes into using the Solomon seals in the new book, like this, the pinnacle of the moon and Mercury and things like that. I just haven't gotten that far yet, so I apologize. She is really big into astrology, which is something that I really have to learn. I'm not that big on, but I can respect it, and I like the information that she gives. It's not where it's over my head, um, but it's not like it's dumbed down like astrology for dummies. Um, so I really do enjoy that as well. And I always suggest this to people if you are new to the craft and if you're new to practicing, um, to get the big red book by her, um, The Book of Shadows, New Generation Solitary Witch by Sylvan Ravewolf. This was actually bought this off a friend. She was having a magic yard sale. She was getting rid of some of her books and statuaries and things like that, and she had this for sale, and I had to get it because I had it on my wish list forever. This was 2010, maybe, a long time ago, and she had it for sale. I bought it off of her for like $3 or $4. Um, maybe it was $5. Still better than $21. I think that's the price of this. I could be wrong. No, $20. Still better than $20. You know, saves at $15. So yeah, I really do enjoy reading, and I follow her on Facebook and Instagram, and she does have some really cool posts and making really cool stuff and very inspirational stuff. So for me, she has been a very huge influence into my craft. Excuse me, just because a lot of the stuff that she has written in her books is what I pull from in knowledge when I go to do spells or make powders or do any type of cleansing. There are methods that she has presented in casting different circles that I really do enjoy, because one of the things that she says is magic shouldn't be serious all the time. It should be fun. It should be effervescent. But there are times where it should be serious. So I kind of took that lesson with me to heart that I'm now relearning. Magic shouldn't always be... I mean, you should respect it, of course. You should never full-heartedly just jump into magic and, you know, just disrespect it. You should never do that. That's not what she's saying or what I'm saying. I'm saying is you should respect it, but you should also, it shouldn't be a chore. You should also have fun with it. So she's, one of the things that I take from that is if you're not feeling good and you have to do, or you're in the middle of doing a 7-day spell or a 3-day spell or whatever, you're not feeling good, the spell can wait. You know, if the candle's not already lit, if it's not already going, if you have to redo the candles, I do think when you feel better, you'll be able to manifest your goal a lot easier than if you do the magic when you're sick, or if you have no energy. That kind of derailed, and I apologize. So she kind of brought the fun. I'm rereading a lot of her stuff with that book, and she really brought the fun back into magic instead of it being really serious and structured and ceremonial, which, you know, I can be, but I'm not a fan of. And that's funny because the next person I will talk about, this is going to be a long video, my first video. The next person I want to talk about who has been a big influence of why I title myself the way I do on, and I know I'm going to get weird questions and probably thumbs down or whatever, but I title myself as a wizard. I like the aspect of Merlin. I like the archetype of Merlin and Gandalf, and my mind went blank. And Dumbledore, if you want to go into the Harry Potter world and pop culture, you know, pop culture magic. I love the aspect of the always learning wizard who knows how to use his craft wisely and with precision. So the person that I want to talk about next and go over one of the books that I have, or two of the books. One I have with me present, the other one is in the stack, is actually Oberon Zell Ravenheart. There's also another book I got when I was high school. I was still in high school as a senior. So I remember I made highlights and stuff and did that in high school. Um, he has influenced my craft where Silver Ravenwolf influences it to be more folk magic, and she does have stuff where it's set up to do this, and this. He he is more structured, but he's also a lot more fun because he sees the wizard as the storyteller, and as the magic weaver or the web weaver, um, where we can help, where wizards help those who can't help, who don't have the means to help themselves. Um, so I find this book, even though for younger, it is for younger wizards or younger practitioners. He has a companion that's all like scientific crafts and stuff, which I do have that book. He does have one that is amazing. It's called Creating Circles and Ceremonies. If you are beginning and you want to learn ritual, you want to learn how to experience ritual, or how the Wiccan ritual goes, or how pagan rituals go, I highly recommend Creating Circles and Ceremonies by Oberon Zell Ravenheart. It's a fantastic book. It shows the beginning outline of how basic ritual structure is, then it breaks each one down into each chapter, and it gives you different circle castings, different elemental calls, different closings, different deity invocations, different ritual ideas and stuff like that. It's a fantastic book. Um, so Oberon Zell for me is really the only author that I know, and there could be more out there. And if there are, please comment down below because I would like to read their work. Where he entitles himself or labels himself as a wizard. And I do, whenever he does post, I do follow him on Facebook. And I know he does have an online school called Grey Wizard Academy, Grey Wizardry Academy. Hold on. The Grey Council. I think it's the Grey Wizardry Academy. I'm just not sure. It's greyschool.com. GREYSCHOOL.com. That's his online school where you can pay a monthly fee or whatever and learn classes. It's kind of like magic school. No, what's it called? There's another website online where you can learn basics. And I think one of the YouTubers talk about it. So a lot of I really do respect both these authors. I know I spoke a lot more about Silver Ravenwolf than I did Oberon Zell. It's just I have Silver Ravenwolf fresh in my mind because I'm reading her newest book. But both of these guys have really influenced my practice. Whereas I've read so much that I need to experience it. And the book says that both authors say that experience kind of beats beats the book knowledge. So that's what I'm working on myself. So I hope I didn't bore you guys with my first long video for the season. I hope you guys enjoyed my content. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them down below for me in the comment section. And until next week, many blessings.